the back view, and then this is the front view. Watch as I show you how to make this lovely triple rosette crinoline hairband. First, you get 1 yard of a 6-inch crinoline, fold it into 2 like so, and then you sew from the tip to one side of the crinoline. So I'm just using a pin to secure it, and the distance is about 5 inches from the beginning. So first I will attach our needle to the folded part. The needle and thread is actually 4 strands of thread, so you pass that back so that you can have a firm grip, and then you begin to sew along this line. So we're doing a running stitch, just sewing back and forth until we get to the other side. So notice that we're creating a slant with the needle. So now once we get to the end of the slant, we're going to cut off the excess and then trim, or rather close up the frayed edges. You know that crinoline frays a lot, so we have to close it up, and we're going to use the blue part of the flame to do this. This might not be so tidy. You can see how I use my hands to quench the fires or to melt up the crinoline, but this is enough to keep it secure. So now you pull that together, forming a very tight gather, and then you sew it up to keep that place tightly secured. Okay, so now that we are done, we're going to set this aside and then just hold the crinoline, the folded crinoline, together with pins. So in this case I'm making use of T-pins. Like I did mention in one of my other videos, crinoline is very porous, so if you're going to make use of any pin, you have to be sure that the pins have something that will anchor on the head of the pin, that will anchor it, that won't allow it to slip off the crinoline. So now I'm done with that. The next thing, I'm going to stitch this with hemming stitch. So I've made the first 2 stitches, but I'm going to show you how to do that faster. So the same stitch is what I'm doing here, but in a shorter way. So you just sew it like so. You know, it's almost like you're like creating, what I call them, circles. As you're going in your crinoline, you're coming out, you're going in, you're coming out, almost like a spiral, like you're sewing it in a wave form. Basically this is a hemming stitch. So what we're doing is to attach both ends of the crinoline, and we'll do this along the full length of our 1 yard crinoline, except for 3 inches. So we're just going to sew all down to the end until 3 inches. So this is our stitches, and we have done that already. We have 3 inches left unsewed. Okay, now we're going to pull this. Meanwhile, it's important to note that you should make sure that the thread you're using to sew this part is long enough, at least more than that 1 yard. Okay, the length of the thread in the needle. So now we pull this to the end, and you can see already there's that extra, you know, 3 inches at the end. But let's just look at this again. As I'm pulling this, the important thing is to make sure that the pull is very tight. So this is the remaining 3 inches at the end that we didn't sew. Now we're going to do the same slanted sewing as we did in the beginning, but first of all we have to secure this needle, secure the sewing that we have done, you know, with the needle and thread. So we'll sew it here, make sure that it's tight so it doesn't shift. Okay, and then using the pin, we held on to the crinoline, and we're just going to do the same kind of stitching, which is running stitch, just as we did in the beginning. And of course we're also going to cut off the excess and seal it up with the blue flame of our lighter. Basically the same thing we did in the beginning. Okay, now that's done, I'm now going to pull this and create the same gathers as we did in the beginning, and of course sew it tightly so that it doesn't unravel. So now that's done, we go back to the beginning and we begin to roll our rosettes. We're creating our rosettes by just rolling it from that end all the way to the full length of the crinoline. So you take your time and roll it like so. This is actually a very fun project. I enjoyed myself while I was doing this. And we just do this up to the end. So you can see our rose already taking shape. So if you want it tighter, you can manipulate it with your fingers at the center. If you want it more loose, you can do the same thing, just open it up a bit. So with the same needle and thread we used at the beginning, we're just going to sew all the layers of the rolled crinoline together, passing from the back to the other side and then passing it back again, making sure to gather all the layers so that they don't unravel. You can see that. And then we close up the back of our rosette. So cute as a button. So we're going to do more of this in 3 lovely colors. So next thing is to attach it to a hairband. If you don't know how to get the right shade of your hairband, there's a video I have on how to do that, to wrap your hairbands in different colors. So now to add this, I had already used a pin to attach this to the hairband, the position that I wanted, and the next thing is to sew it down. So the fabric on the hairband helps us to, you know, have an anchor where we are sewing the crinoline onto the hairband. So you pass the needle back as usual when you're sewing something with so much porosity, and then we just sew the back. As you can see what I'm doing, I'm making sure the needle passes through the back of the crinoline rosette and then also passes through the fabric of the hairband. So basically I've attached it to the back, and now I'm also going to attach it to the front. So I just took 3 layers of the rosettes and passed this needle across. The reason why I'm doing this is so that the rosette doesn't flip, you know, the face of the rosette doesn't flip to the back or just stand upright. I want it facing one side, that's facing the front. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this. So I'm just taking my time to sew this down to just one side of the rosette so that it can face the front, and I'll do the same thing back and forth to make sure that it's secured. So this thing I'm doing, nobody's going to see the stitches. You won't see the stitches because the rest would have covered it. Okay, here, so we have put the second color. This is beautiful yellow, and of course army green. Do you see how lovely this looks? So beautiful, so elegant. Okay, so now you can see that our rosettes are actually facing the front of the hairband and not standing upwards. Okay, so here you can decide to put some decorations in the center, but I'm leaving mine like that. And now on to embellishing the hairbands. Here are some crystal stones. I will be attaching them with E7000. Well, they're not really stones, they're actually carbocons, but these ones can be sewn if you want them to be sewn, but I decided to use E6000 to attach them. So after applying the glue to different places, I just place them individually like so. So just do that one after the other, and we're going to do this right along the length of the hairband up to the end, and also the other side. Oh, this looks so beautiful. This is so cute. So now this back, we can't leave it this way. We're going to use applique to cover it up. Here's me cutting the applique into 2, and then of course we'll apply our candle gum to right at the base of the crinoline rosette, and place the applique neatly to cover up all our messiness of the stitching, and to also give the back a better facelift. So the idea is If you see it from the front, it looks cute, and then also from the back, it's flawless. So now our triple rosette crinoline hairband is ready to be slayed. This is so cute. This is lovely. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in our next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.